Last part. Jack and Deku walking home. Deku, do you want to come to my house to relax, watch a movie or something? Jack says I can't at this time. I have to go home. I have to tell my mom how it went. But talk to you later, Deku says. I hope we both got in as many points as we got. I think we definitely got in. I think we just gotta wait for our letters. Now Jack thinks about what happened today, the power of the tricks, and helping the main character, and how he knows the main check thinks about the enemies. I wonder some of the Ben 10 bad guys are in here. 2. Probably I should prepare myself, try and unlock as many as I can in the old vintage show the main character's funeral. His future counterpart could unlock thousands of aliens. I wonder can I unlock those many I got a system like. So who left me? I can Jack. Goes to bed, sleeping on it for now. A few days passed. Jack's mother gives him the letter. Jack's mom says he got a letter. Jack says a letter. Jack's mom says, yes, a letter. Jack says I have to call Deku. Jack calls Deku and says, did you get your letter yet? Deku, yes, I did get my letter. My mom just gave it to me. I haven't opened it yet. Jack says I got my letter too. Maybe we should both open it. Deku and Jack open their letter at the same time. They get a hologram message of All Night. Omai says that they did a great job racking those points, yet you both got 10. And plus you saved someone in danger, you broke my record. Both you did, so technically you both tied at the top of the leaderboard for classes. You will both be in class, will also be a teacher there all night, says after all that is said, then the message ends. But Jack and Deku surprise Jack, says, I can't believe we both got in and we broke all my record, Deku. I finally get to be a hero. I guess classes start tomorrow. Jack says classes start tomorrow. This will be good. Jack says maybe we should go to bed early tonight. We have to get ready for tomorrow. Deku says, you might be right, so I'm going to end this phone call short. See you tomorrow. Jack says see you tomorrow as well. The next morning, Jack's getting ready to go to new school. But before then, his system says quest complete system. Says you got a new alien called Gravity. Also get a new option of your matrix called Suit Mod. Jack says this might be useful when it comes time to make my superhero suit. I might not even have to make it. Jack gets ready to go out the door so quickly, but his mom says, wait up, what are you going off? So quickly for Jack, says, I need to go. I'll be late, check mom, says, wait up, check says, I need to go text mom. Says, come on, Jack, says, I have to go. I'll see you later today, Jack says, have a good day to his mom. Says, have you paid? To see you later, Jax, there's 2 ways I can get to school. I can fly there, or I can take the train. I might take the train. Sits on the train. Next him, it is with brown eyes and black hair, and Morvican, who are you? She says, I am Eunice, Jack says, I am Jack. Nice to meet you, Eunice. Nice to meet you, too. Jack says, are you going to school, too? Eunice says, yes, I am Jack, says, I'm going to UA high school, says, I'm in the same high school. As you, Jack says, what class, Eunice? Says, class 1A, Jack says, I'm in the same classes. As you text, says, what's your power, Eunice? Says, my power is to take the power of animals by touching them. Jack says, any, Eunice? Says, yes, any animal, Eunice. Says, what's your power? Check says, turn into multiple different transformations. I like to call them aliens, Eunice says, aliens. Jack says, yes, so they don't seem weird. Eunice and Jack finally get to class. Meet up with Deku. He says, who is this? Jack introduces Eunice. Check says, I met her on the train. Jack says, this is my friend Deku Eunice. Ask him what's going on with Deku. Jack says, he gets nervous around girls, the bell rings, and Jack and Eunice and Deku can't do class. The teacher of the class says, you made it on time, you take a seat, and we can get. Introductions out the way. I thought I'm Mr. A says, I'll introduce myself. I'll start first. My real name is, just call me Mr. A. My power is to Mr. A says that you should come introduce yourself, starting with you, Jack. Jack says, sure, my name is Jack. My power is, I can transformations thanks to my support item, wouldn't getting to know you. Momo, you're next. Mama says, I am Momo Nice in my powers. I can float things by touching them, my hobbies to read. And that's about it. Iko Adora, you're next. My power is a strength and speed power. It helps me become stronger and faster and more agility. As time goes by, Jack, thanks to himself inside his head, I'm here. I know what's coming next. He's going to have his test abilities. Mr. A says, you should all join me outside. This way I can get a feel for your abilities and stuff. Okay, Mr. A says it will be 2 tests. Speed test and kind of like a strength test. Is the thing I'm a very strict teacher. If I feel like you're not meeting up to the standards of this academy, then I will dispel you on the spot. Understood. Everyone from the class says yes. Jack says, what are we starting first with? Strength test. Far did you do it? Without your the ball, without your power? 170 Mr. A, this time I want you to try it with your power. Okay, Jack looks down at the tricks, pushes a button, and pick 4 arms. Picks up the ball with one of his arms as far as he can. 1000 Mr. Very impressive. Bakugo, you should go up next. Bakugan grabs a ball with his arm and uses power explosion. So as he's throwing it, he throws it, and it goes up the air. Mr. reads a meter, and it says 116 Momo, you're next. She throws the ball, and it stays in the air infinity. Ezekiel, adore you, it's your turn. Jack remembers. It says, isn't this the time where Deku tries to use his power? But he plugged Mr. A blocks it by using his power starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deku is wondering inside his head what went wrong. I felt it isn't going to activate, starts kicking you. Jack gives some words of encouragement. You can do it. I know you can. Mr. A says, maybe you're not supposed to be a hero if this is all you can master. Deku picks up the ball and uses his one for all power to focus on his one finger, and he throws it up in the sky as 10,011. Mr. Egg says, wow, you're so nice that you're something else. Deku, I'm still standing all my picks, and threw them in the courtyard. How did you get so cool? Jack says, there you go, becoming a real hero. Everybody is shocked that he got so much pain, or everyone says these two are something else. Mr. Asses, we're not done yet. We still got a speed test, huh? That's what Jack says. In his head, as I know what to use. Jack raises his hand as chemical go first. Mr. A says you can. Jack transforms into fast track. Mr. did his stopwatch started, and he runs so fast try run is, and by accident he breaks the sound barrier. 910 meters. That's pretty fast, and he just break the sound barrier 3 times, check, turn back, and back to normal. Mr. A says, Edie, you're up next. He gets ready to run. And as Mr. A says, ready, said, go. Edie gets back. He says it's impressive. Everyone has shown off their powers. I will explain how school will go. Mr. A says it would be a dorm system, so you'll be staying here. But you will also have some times reading and stuff. So starting tomorrow, you'll be moving into the dorm for the rest of the day. You have to. Jack talks to Deku. Jack says, are you okay? Deku, he says yes or no. Okay, Jack says, but your finger, though, it looks damaged. Deku says it's nothing, so you still haven't figured out your power this yet. That's what Jack says. Deku Jack says, what should we do for the rest of the day? Deku that says we should check the rest of the school out. Check. Heck says we should probably check the gym first. Deku says, okay. They show up to the gym. Jack says, look at all this equipment stuff. Jack says, where should we go next? Deku says we got to the library. She says, okay, let's go. As Jack is walking in, he sees a person with red hair, a cat shirt on, and he thinks to himself that couldn't be Gwen for the Ben 10 universe. He thinks to himself that the God that put me here just mixed 2 worlds together. She's here. That means that the other Benton characters from the Benton show can also be here, and that means to also feelings with Phil Jex. But for right now, Jack's not going to worry about that. Check says, excuse me, I'm looking for a book about transformations. Gwen says, aisle 1 on the left. Thank you, Jack. Says, by the way, I'm Jack. She introduces herself as Gwen. She looks at the only tricks on checks. Or says, hold up. Gwen says, that's a stranger advice on your arm. It's a support item that helps my powers. Gwen says, what's your powers again? My powers got something to do with transformations and multiple transformations. Gwen's stomach starts to run. Jack says, are you hungry? How long you been in here? Gwen says, I'm a little hungry. Do you want to go to the cafeteria? Gwen says, sure. Jack calls for Deca. Jack says, are you done reading your books? Jack axes him. Do you want to go to the cafeteria? Deca, he says, who is this? She introduced herself. It says, my name is Gwen. Deku asks, where are your powers? Gwen says, I can use the magic. Deca says, man, magic doesn't exist. Gwen says, magic does exist as a rich. The lunchroom picking their lunch with a kid, half her lunch Momo, and Eunice joined them at their lunch table. Momo says, hi guys. Eunice says, it's about time. Checklist. Jack is saying, what were you waiting for us or something? They see Gwen. Momo and Eunice introduces themselves to Gwen. Momo and Eunice say, What powers does Gwen have? Gwen says this. And I have Magic Momo. And Eunice, you're saying since we have a day off tomorrow, how do you feel going shopping or going out? Jack says that could be fun. Deca says, you sure you want to take me along? Momo says it's in Momo says Gwen you should come to after they go home for the day. The next day comes and Jack and Deku and Momo and Eunice and Gwen both show up to the meeting spot. Jack says, so what are we doing? Mom says, this we're just gonna explore the town. Jack says, okay, maybe get something for our room. That'll be good. Jack says, Deku, that you could use some new clothes in his room in his closet. Deku, he says my classes is not that bad. Jack says, come on, it's sitting and can be a little improved. Eunice says, and that's the first thing we're doing going shopping. As they go to the store, as they're almost there, a robbery happens in progress. They all hear it. Jack says, what's going on? Mom says it seems like it's troublesome giant robots or actually attacking. Jack says these robots look familiar. Jack says that in his head. Jack says they look like Phil Jackson Roblox. Jack says, we should help Deku. He says, we should wait until the pro heroes come along. Jack says, if we wait too long, there will be no one to save. Gwen says, so what's the plan? Jack says the plan is, Gwen, you said you have magic. That's what Jack says. Jack says, do you have any offensive magic? Like barriers, shields, stuff like that? Momo can lift the boulders off of people and try and get them to safety. Eunice, can you have her back? So we are going. Jack says, Deku, you can have Momo. Since you can't use your powers all the way, you can at least get people free. He says, okay, but he says, wait, what will you be doing? Jack says, I'll be dealing with the robots trying to keep their attention on me. Jack pushes the button on the arm. Matrix selecting Diamond Head. Transform in Diamond Head. Jack says, it's hero time. Everything be careful. Mom starts, lifting all the rocks away off of people using her float powers. Deku uses his one for all powers, focusing on his legs, trying to get all the people to safety. Gwen is using her magic to make up a barrier, a safe place for them. Well, Jack is using his powers of Diamond Head to shoot diamond spikes and create diamond objects to Eunice. Also uses her curl, her cover the strength that's destroy some. As well, they're doing a pretty good job during all the robots, but someone from below is watching them. It's Phil Cox. It seems like this planet has protectors, how the mega robot. Jack says this is a little bit of fun. Then the big rope, cause she's down from the sky. Jack says, oh my, that's a big one. Jack's guys, we need to hurry this up. We need to get everyone to safety. Deku uses power, pushes it up to 8% on his legs, increasing his strength, his speed, and his agility. Oh, more safely. Jack says, Gwen, put a shield around everyone. I think I got an idea, but in case it backfires, protect everyone. Jack to the big robot. He shoots a laser beam. Jack remembers Hell, Ben in the original TV series of Ben 10. How defeated the rope by using the head to redeflect his laser. Some check, does the same thing, destroying the robot. Jack says, hey guys, the robot's destroyed. Jack transforms back to normal, and then he turns into Fast Track, trying to pick everyone up, run them away from the scene. Deku, he says, why do you pick us up and run us away from the scene? Jack says, because we don't have our hero's license. It's illegal to do any superhero work without a license. Jack says, yeah, I don't feel like shopping anymore. We just had a big fight. Can we postpone? Everyone agrees once days is over with. Back at UA High School, All Mine is talking to an old friend. Hey, Max, I think I found where the Oni tricks was. Max says the honest tricks. It's on one of my students. His name is Jack. Max says Jack. Who All Mike says Jack Kirby. Max says Jack Harvey. Max says, ain't that my old partner's kid all night? Says, yes, it seems like he's found the arm tricks. Max says, it seems like Phil Kicks also found today all night. Says, you might have to come to the school and train Jack to use his aunt to use his powers. Max says, why can't you do it? I'm training my own prodigy. Max says, you have a prodigy now. Mate says, yes, my power is running out. I had to pass my power on to someone, and I think I found the one. I need your help, Max. Train Jack. Help him reach his full potential. I think he can be a great hero if he had some guidance, and maybe you can tell his mother the truth really happened. Sign, I'll be there tomorrow. That's the end of this part. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.